Welcome to part 2 of our ranking of the 16 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you haven't seen part 1, check it out here. Be aware, these videos contain spoilers, except for the new Spider-Man movie, so let's continue.
This is gonna end well.
At number 8, Spider-Man: Homecoming. The newest addition to the MCU and third movie iteration of Spider-Man within the past 15 years, Spider-Man: Homecoming is one of the funniest movies in either series. The humor is explicitly in the vein of earlier teen comedies, including a specific reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The cast overall demonstrates good comedic timing.
It's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you. I'm not there yet. Alright, kid. Good luck out there.
Michael Keaton, in his third role as a winged super after the Batman movies and Birdman, is an especially good bad guy as the working class vulture. Tony Stark works well as a father figure to Spidey, and the Captain America videos are hilarious. The racial diversity amongst the cast this time around is better too, reflecting the actual makeup of Queens. And thankfully, the movie also skips over the dead uncle and some of the other origin stuff we've already seen in prior Spider-Man installments. On the other hand, the movie is too long, and yet some characters still aren't developed very much. Aunt May, for instance, and the teenage orientation does have its drawbacks. The scenes involving an actual school homecoming come to mind. In the end, Homecoming isn't quite as good as 2004's Spider-Man 2, but it's far better than Spider-Man 3 or either of the Amazing Spider-Man movies that just came out earlier this decade. At number 7, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. A superhero movie meets political spy thriller, Captain America 2 wisely cast Robert Redford, a veteran actor of political thrillers such as All the President's Men and 3 Days of the Condor. Spies Black Widow and Fury also return. The characters of Cap's old friend Bucky finally capitalizes on what was an otherwise uninteresting plotline in the first Captain America movie. He gets a sidekick, and his adjustment to the 21st century is partly addressed finally. He's seen at least Rocky and War Games, so he's basically caught up. At least self-referentially on what movies the first two Captain America standalones are imitating.
Shall we play a game? It's from a movie that was really popular.
I saw it.
While the Iron Man series focused on cleaning up the military-industrial complex, with this movie, Captain America does likewise to spy agencies, alluding to contemporary real-life events such as the leaks by Snowden and WikiLeaks. At number 6, Doctor Strange. This is a good origin story, but if you've seen Iron Man, then you've already sort of seen part of it. A cocky genius in his field is physically crippled by his own hubris. The accident sets him on a path of redemption and becoming a superhero. The part of Doctor Strange that's new to the MCU is the trippy mysticism. The MCU also finally joins Superman in the X-Men movies in manipulating time, and that's where the movie gets good. The CGI is a bit inspired by Inception and one part at least by 2001: A Space Odyssey, but there's a nice clockwork motif to it that fits well with the story's mystical and time travel elements. Also, the usual MCU urban destruction in the end, thanks to time travel, is rendered as though it never happened. And then there's Rachel McAdams, who has a thankless role as the helpmeet, but at least Tilda Swinton has a decent role as the Ancient One. And Benedict Cumberbatch plays to type again, much in the vein of his Sherlock Holmes and Alan Turing roles. At number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2. This sequel is almost as good as the first one, except it gets way too sappy by the end with all the "we are family" crap.
We're family.
The One Cool Raccoon is especially too pathetic this outing. On the other hand, Drax is even more hilarious, and his relationship with Mantis is nice, especially because it doesn't become romantic.
No. Sexual, though.
No, I don't.
For her.
No.
See, you just told everyone your deepest, darkest secret.
Dude, come on. I think you're overreacting a little bit.
You must be so embarrassed.
And yeah, Baby Groot is cute. Meanwhile, Star-Lord has daddy issues and continues his will they won't they romance with Gamora, and Gamora fights it out again with her sister Nebula. The CGI, humor, and soundtrack are good, as in the first movie. There are just too many damn end credit scenes this time. At number 4, Captain America: Civil War. Given the large cast of superheroes, as one group led by Cap faces off against the other group led by Iron Man, Civil War seems more like a third Avengers movie rather than Captain America 3. Regardless, it features a great fight sequence at an airport between all of the superheroes, as well as a showdown between Iron Man, Cap, and the Winter Soldier. The villain of the story is besides the point, except as a catalyst for the civil war amongst the Avengers. A plot where we might expect him to use the other Winter Soldiers rather unexpectedly and happily never materializes. There's also a good amount of development in this movie with the supporting cast. Vision and Scarlet Witch hint at a possible romance, or at least a friendship. Spider-Man is a great comic addition. Black Panther isn't bad either and adds diversity to the cast. William Hurt also reprises his role from The Incredible Hulk, proving that movie is part of the MCU after all, and not just a bad dream we all had. At number 3, Iron Man. The movie that started the MCU continues to be one of the best installments in the franchise. Although the visual effects may have improved in later movies, Tony relies more on ordinary desktop computers here instead of gesture-based interfaces, for instance. You can't beat a good origin story. The main villain isn't great, despite being portrayed by a great actor, Jeff Bridges. I mean, what exactly was his motivation for trying to kill Tony again? Who cares? Like The Incredible Hulk and other Iron Man movies, this one takes a rather critical view of the US military-industrial complex in some respects, while simultaneously giving that very system its implicit approval by having a superhero wreak havoc everywhere in the name of peace. Meanwhile, the cave-dwelling supposed terrorists are an unrealistic multinational hodgepodge without religious, racial, or national fanaticism, and thus no offense to anyone. Otherwise, the bad guys, as they are in the movies, are Nazis, aliens, or robots. Mostly, however, Iron Man works, and the reason the MCU got off to an envious start compared to other shared universes such as the DC or the Dark Universe is largely because of Robert Downey Jr.'s charismatic and humorous performance. It's also nice that Iron Man doesn't spend a lot of time setting up future movies. Agent Coulson fits into the narrative fairly seamlessly, and besides what was then a surprise after ends credit scene between Tony and Fury, Iron Man is allowed to be a standalone movie instead of seeming to exist largely for the benefit of later movies, as is a problem with some later shared universe features. At number 2, The Avengers. 5 movies in the making, 4 years in the waiting, and the climax to the first phase of the MCU, The Avengers, met expectations of a good summer blockbuster and financially peaked as the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time. Fortunately, Tony Stark's postmodern sarcasm clashing with Cap's old-fashioned values and Thor's quasi-Shakespearean roaring mix very well together, and Mark Ruffalo is a rare instance of a great mid-series casting replacement. Nobody quite matches him in portraying a quiet, masculine sadness. Plus, the Hulk is actually fun and funny for once.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that. Puny god.
Superhero movies can also succeed or fail on the strengths of their villains, and Loki is a cool villain. And before the urban destruction climax started to grow stale, the Avengers had quite an exciting finish, and is still the best such sequence in the MCU. And finally, at number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy. The most irreverent and comedic gang and movie in the MCU, and possibly the first to have a memorable soundtrack, albeit not an original one. The retro 70s tunes, Walkman, and cassette tapes add to the nostalgia that those who read the comic books presumably already have. So do all of the movie references, beginning with another nod to Raiders of the Lost Ark. This movie also made Chris Pratt, formerly perhaps best known as a supporting actor on the TV show Parks and Recreation, a movie star. It's hard to fault this movie for anything, even when it's following basic formulas in its narrative. It's so self-referentially irreverent that nobody cares. It set the stage for a more excessive and raunchy meta-ness of Deadpool. The first Guardians movie also doesn't suffer too much from the mawkish talk of the gang being friends and family that the sequel does, although there still is some of that here. The production design and visual effects of Guardians also look better than even the outer space and alien planets in either of the Thor movies. Can't wait to find out how the Guardians actually fit in with other superheroes in the MCU. Thanks for watching. We'd like to see your rankings and thoughts on the MCU in the comments below, and please like and subscribe.